All right, let's get straight into it. Today, we're going to pull apart a real 13-mark GCSE biology question. I'm going to show you exactly how to crack this thing wide open and scoop up every single mark. How? By using the official mark scheme. This is all about learning to think just like an examiner. Okay, let's dive right in. So, we're looking at question 05. You can see we've got two plants here. On the left, there's the gorse plant, which has some pretty gnarly-looking thorns. And on the right, we've got the deadly nightshade plant with those famous poisonous berries. The entire question is going to be about how these plants protect themselves. 13 marks. I mean, wow, that is a massive chunk of your final grade riding on this one question. But you know what? Getting all of them isn't just about what you know. It's about how you say it. And the secret to that, it's right there in the mark scheme. So let's break it down. We're going to start off with the quick one-mark questions. Think of these as your confidence builders. You know, the easy wins that get you warmed up and build a bit of momentum. Let's see what we've got first. So, first up, a nice, simple starter question. It's just asking you to put the thorns into a category. What kind of defense are they? This is a straight-up test of whether you know the keyword. So what's the answer they're actually looking for? And there it is. Look at the precision. The number one answer is mechanical. But, and this is super useful to know, they also accept physical or structural. This shows that while there's always a best answer, the examiners do allow for other correct terms. One word gets you 1 mark. Simple as that. Okay, moving on to part 2. We know what type of defense it is, but now the question is asking about its job. What do those thorns actually do to protect the plant? And this is a brilliant example of how specific the mark scheme gets. The perfect top-tier answer is to deter herbivores. Using that keyword, herbivores, shows you really know your stuff, but they also give you a mark for something a bit more general, like to prevent animals damaging it. Good to know, right? Right, you can see the pattern here. It's basically the same question, just for our other plant, the deadly nightshade. So, if thorns are a mechanical defense, what kind of defense are poisonous berries? Boom! Just one word. Chemical. That's it. No long explanation needed. Just that one correct term. See how these first 3 marks are all about having that precise vocabulary locked and loaded? All right, let's see how this builds. Because now we're moving on to the main event, the 5-marker. This is the heavyweight part of the question. This is where you can really show what you know and pick up a ton of points with a properly structured answer. Let's see the question. Okay, so here's the scenario. Gorse plants have yellow leaves and their growth is stunted. The question says a lack of nitrate ions is one reason. But, and pay attention here, you're explicitly told not to use that in your answer. You need to come up with 2 other possible reasons and explain them. 5 marks on the line. Now, the absolute key to a big multi-mark question like this is structure. Don't just dump all your ideas on the page. You need a clear system. First, state your reason. Second, provide the scientific why. And third, you do that whole thing again for your second reason. Let's look at the options the mark scheme gives you. Okay, here's the first perfect answer straight from the mark scheme. Notice the beautiful chain of logic. The reason? A lack of magnesium. So what? That means not enough chlorophyll, and the final consequence? Less photosynthesis means not enough glucose for the plant to either build proteins for growth or to release energy for growth. That step-by-step logic is exactly what gets you the marks. But what if you didn't think of magnesium? Well, guess what? No problem at all. Here is a totally different but equally correct answer. You could talk about an infection by a pathogen. That infection makes the leaves turn yellow, which means, you guessed it, less photosynthesis. And that leads to the exact same final point, not enough glucose for growth. And there's even a third way to get the marks. You could talk about an aphid infestation. This explanation is even more direct. The aphids are literally sucking the sugars right out of the phloem. The result is exactly the same. The plant gets robbed of the glucose it desperately needs to grow. Now, this is so important to understand. You had multiple ways to get full marks. The mark scheme isn't a one-way street. It's looking for a scientifically correct and logically explained answer. Your job was just to pick any 2 of these pathways, explain them fully, and those 5 marks were all yours. Right, let's move on to the next section. We're still on the gorse plant, but now we're going to zoom right in on its roots to look at a really cool symbiotic relationship. So the exam paper gives you this image. See those little lumps on the roots? Those are called nodules. And the question tells us that these nodules are filled with bacteria. The next couple of questions are all about why this relationship is a win-win for both the plant and the bacteria. And here it is, laid out perfectly. It's a two-way street. What do the bacteria get? Well, they get a safe place to live, and most importantly, they get glucose from the plant to use for respiration. And what does the plant get in return? It gets essential nitrate ions, which it needs to build amino acids and proteins. It's a perfect trade. All right, we're on the home stretch now. There's just one last quick-fire question to go to finish our breakdown of question 5. Let's see what it is. Okay, a little bit of history of science to finish things off. This is a multiple-choice question, so it's a bit of a knowledge check about where some of our medicines originally came from. You've got 4 options: blackcurrant berries, foxglove leaves, rose petals, or willow bark. And the mark scheme confirms it. The correct answer is willow bark. The active ingredient in willow bark, a chemical called salicin, is actually the original inspiration for modern aspirin. It's a simple recall question for that one final easy mark. So what's the big takeaway from all this? It's that the mark scheme isn't some big secret. It's a code. And the rules of the code are actually pretty simple. Use those precise keywords. Know that there are often a few different ways to get the right answer. And for those big questions, build a logical argument, always linking the scientific reason to its final consequence. And that is how you get all 13 marks on question 5. We haven't just gone over the biology. We've uncovered the hidden structure of a perfect answer. So the real question is, how are you going to take this method, this way of thinking, and apply it to every other question you face? How are you going to use this code to unlock all those marks?